Welcome to this video session of History of Refrigeration. My name is S.V. Kumbar, Assistant Professor, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, Gurgaon, a member of ISRO. So, we will start from refrigeration. We will take one example. Why do we require a refrigerator at home? Do you have answer? Yes. The spoilage of food products in refrigerator slows down. If we keep any perishable product inside refrigerator, its temperature is maintained below than that of atmospheric temperature. So temperature in the refrigerated space is lower than a room temperature where refrigerator is kept. In earlier video lecture, in the second law of thermodynamics, we have studied Carnot refrigerator. In Carnot refrigerator, heat is extracted continuously from a low temperature body, and that heat is supplied to high temperature body. For that purpose, we require external work. That external work is in the form of electricity. Refrigerator throws away heat from the food products to the room, and in this way the temperature of that food product is kept below than that of atmospheric temperature. Let's take a second example. Why do we require air conditioning in our car? Journey in a car is comfortable if the temperature inside the car is maintained at about 25 degrees centigrade. Especially in summer, the temperature inside car it increases and it may reach up to 35, 36 or 38 degrees centigrade. So, to do so in summer, to maintain the temperature of about 25 degrees centigrade, 20 to 25 degrees centigrade, which is considered as comfort zone, heat from inside air has to be rejected to the surrounding. That's why air conditioning is done in your car or at your home. Let's take another example. One lake is shown and water is pumped with the help of pump to higher level. So this picture gives the same example as that of refrigerator. Here power is required to pump to water at uphill. The same is true for pumping heat from low temperature body to high temperature body. The water from lake will not flow automatically towards mountain or uphill. That's why we require pump. Similarly, in order to run a refrigerator or air conditioning, we require external agency, that is we require compressor, and that compressor works on electricity. So with the help of compressor we will reject heat from low temperature body, and with the help of condenser that heat is extracted to high temperature body, that is atmosphere. Next, air conditioning. This is the relationship between refrigeration and air conditioning. Why do we require a refrigerator and air conditioning? We have just seen a refrigerator is generally used for industrial refrigeration purpose, including chemical and process industries, food preservation like dairies. Air conditioning is required for heating, humidifying and to maintain the quality of air. And the common thing between refrigeration and air conditioning is that cooling and dehumidifying operation in air conditioning. This is the common thing between refrigerator and air conditioning. So, we will start from nocturnal cooling. In earlier days, we were using nocturnal cooling. So, what is nocturnal cooling? Nocturnal cooling means night sky cooling. So, one example is shown in the first picture. Cold air drains into the valley at night and it rejects heat at that place, and that heat is in the form of long waves which is radiated and escapes into the space at night. In the second figure it is shown one material is insulated on which one emitter is placed at 300 degree Kelvin. What will happen? That heat is radiated to outer space which is at 3 Kelvin through atmosphere. So nocturnal cooling, which is also called as night sky cooling, is the cooling of building by radiation to the night sky. The roof of a building absorbs the greatest amount of solar radiation during summer. On a hot summer day, the surface temperature of the roof can rise as high 65 degrees centigrade. So, the roof also has the largest exposure to the sky and hence can be used effectively for nocturnal cooling. Next one, natural refrigeration. In a natural refrigeration, use of natural ice is used. Okay, so transported from colder region, harvested in winter and stored for summer, produced by nocturnal cooling, which we have already seen. Use of evaporative cooling, it is one of the natural cooling. We will see in the next part. Cooling by salt. So we will start history of refrigeration. We will include two parts. There are two parts of refrigeration: age of natural refrigeration and age of artificial refrigeration. So age of natural refrigeration starts from prehistoric time to beginning of 19th century, and in the age of natural refrigeration it includes nocturnal cooling and evaporative cooling, and age of artificial refrigeration starts from 19th century onwards, which includes vapor compression refrigeration system, vapor absorption refrigeration system, vortex tube refrigeration system, etc. So evaporative cooling. So in this picture, how evaporative cooling works, it is shown. So in evaporative cooling, water evaporates into surrounding air and it produces a cooling effect because of evaporation is an endothermic process. So water distributor is shown in the picture. So that water distributor distributes water on evaporative pad continuously. When hot air flows through evaporative pad, what will happen? That water evaporates and because of that it produces cooling effect, and that cold fresh air is blown with the help of blower. Okay, I would like to suggest one example here. In summer we use cooler. That cooler works on the principle of evaporative cooling, in which we require water distributor continuously. Water is fed continuously, and with the help of that we get cool refreshing air continuously. Another best example of evaporative cooling is cooling of human body on a hot day. What will happen here? The temperature of human body is maintained continuously because of sweat, right? Evaporative cooling is very effective when the surrounding air is dry. When small amount of humidity present inside the air, it will not be effective. And third natural refrigeration is cooling by salt. Generally we use sodium chloride, that is salt, for cooling effect. When salt is dissolved in water, it produces cooling effect, but the recovery of that salt is very difficult process. That's why we are not using such cooling by salt solution. So limitation of natural method. So first limitation is dependent on local condition. Natural cooling is dependent on local condition, means everywhere hill area is not present, that's why it is not possible everywhere. Uncertainty due to dependence on weather, difficult to produce large amount of refrigeration. If you want large amount of refrigeration, it will require more refrigerated space. And next limitation is not available to everyone, which is very true. Come to artificial refrigeration. We will start history of artificial refrigeration. In 1755, Scottish professor William Cullen produced small quantity of ice by evaporating ethyl ether under vacuum. And the principle of William Cullen involves absorption of large quantity of heat, that is latent heat, when a liquid boils at a low temperature under the action of vacuum. In 1805, the American engineer Oliver Evans described a closed cycle for producing refrigeration in continuous manner. After that, in 1835, Jacob Perkins patented and built the system described by Oliver Evans using ethyl ether as refrigerant in London. This is the schematic diagram of hand operated refrigeration machine by Jacob Perkins machine. So here 4 components are there: hand operated compressor, evaporator, then condenser. Here when hand operated compressor is continuously worked, then what will happen? This cooling effect from refrigerator is achieved. So the object which is cooled, which is kept in A, it will be continuously kept at below atmospheric temperature, and water cooled condenser is shown, which will reject heat from that high pressure high temperature refrigerant coming from compressor. This is Parkinson's machine, which is made by John Hack. Other landmark events: in 1874, Raoul Pictet designed the first sulfur dioxide based system in Geneva. After that, in 1877, Carl von Linde of Germany builds the first ammonia based system. In 1885, Franz Windhorn builds the first carbon dioxide based system in Germany. In 1920, Copeland and Edwards builds isobutane based domestic refrigerator. The American engineer Alexander Twining 1801 to 1884 received a British patent in 1850 for vapor compression refrigeration system by the use of ether, ammonia and carbon dioxide. James Harrison obtained a patent in 1856 for vapor compression system using ether, alcohol or ammonia. Charles Tellier of France patented in 1864 a refrigeration system using dimethyl ether. Domestic refrigerator, natural ice based domestic ice box is invented in 1803 and used for more than century. General Electrical introduces the first mechanical domestic refrigerator in 1911 in USA, followed by Friederi in 1915 and Kelvinator in 1918. Growth in vapor compression refrigeration system. The rapid growth is attributed to the simultaneous development of components of refrigerator. So the first one, electrical motor and compressor. In earlier days, compressor and motor were separate units, but in modern days, compressor and motor is a same unit, that is we call it as hermetically sealed compressor. Batter shaft seal. So seals which are used in nowadays, which are better, which prevents the sealing. Automatic control, for example, cutouts are used nowadays, means the pressure inside the system reaches to a pre-decided level, the compressor automatically shut down, and if the pressure falls, then again compressor starts. So in modern refrigerator and air conditioning, automatic control is used. Again it is true for temperature also. And next one, introduction of CFC in 1930s. Development of air conditioning system. In 1891, Eastman Kodak installs the first system in New York for storage of photographic film. After that, in 1894, first domestic system installed in Hamburg. In 1904, Willis Carrier designed a central system using air washer, and after that in 1922, Carrier developed centrifugal compressor. This is a schematic figure of vapor compression refrigeration system in which compressor is shown, which runs with the help of electricity. In compressor, vapors of refrigerants are compressed, due to which high pressure high temperature vapors of refrigerants are formed. This high pressure high temperature vapors of refrigerant, it flows through condenser. In condenser we may use either air or water as cooling medium. So in this picture, a fan is shown. When the fan rotates, atmospheric air continuously flows over the condenser and latent heat of refrigerant is rejected to the ambient air. That's why the temperature of refrigerant falls. So in condenser, because of fall in temperature, the phase change takes place from vapor to liquid. So this high pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant flows through expansion valve, where its pressure drops down considerably, and low pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant finally flows through evaporator, where cooling effect is achieved. Means this low pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant absorb heat from a body which is to be cooled, and here cold air or cold region is formed, because of which low pressure vapors of refrigerants are formed, and that low pressure vapor refrigerants again sent to compressor, and the cycle repeats. We will see this vapor compression refrigeration system in the next upcoming lectures. So vapor absorption refrigeration system. So in 1810, John Leslie demonstrates the basic principle using water and H2SO4. After that, in 1860, Ferdinand Carré invents aqua ammonia system in France. In 1878, Windhausen developed water H2SO4 system, and after that H2SO4 is replaced by lithium bromide solution. In 1922, Swedish students Platin and Munter develops pumpless absorption system, and in 1926, Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard patented a pumpless system. This is schematic diagram of vapor absorption system, where compressor is replaced by generator and absorber unit. In generator, aqua ammonia solution is heated with the help of waste heat energy wherever available, due to which high pressure high temperature vapors of refrigerants are formed. These high pressure high temperature vapors of refrigerant flows through condenser, where latent heat is exchanged with the help of cooling medium, because of which high pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant is formed. This high pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant when passed through expansion valve, where pressure drops down considerably, due to which low pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant forms. Finally it flows through evaporator, where cooling effect is seen. This low pressure low temperature liquid refrigerant absorbs heat energy from the object which is to be cooled, and because of that vapors of refrigerants are formed. These vapors of refrigerant flows through absorber, where strong solution of that refrigerant solution is formed. Again it is pumped back to the generator, and the cycle continues. We will see this vapor absorption refrigeration system in detail in the next upcoming lecture. So what is the conclusion of this video lecture? Refrigeration system have become an essential part of modern life. At present, efforts are on to the development of the system. These are energy efficient. Nowadays, we are purchasing 5-star labeled refrigerator or air conditioning because it saves energy. Environmental friendly refrigerator because it will not hamper atmospheric air or environment, and affordable prices. Thank you very much.